This one secret unlocks the most powerful spiritual gift ever. There is a secret so profound, so life-altering, that once you unlock it, nothing in your life will ever be the same again. It is the key to the most powerful spiritual gift that has ever existed. It is not something external. It is not something you need to find. It is something that has always been within you, waiting to be activated. But most people live their entire lives without ever realizing it. They search endlessly for answers, for meaning, for guidance, never understanding that the greatest power they could ever access is already inside them. And the reason they do not see it, because the world has trained them to look everywhere except within. The mind is a trap. It is the greatest illusion ever created. It convinces you that you are separate, that you are limited, that you are powerless. It fills your head with doubts, fears, and distractions, keeping you locked inside a reality that is nothing more than a projection of your own beliefs. And as long as you believe in the limitations imposed upon you, you will never access the truth of who you really are. But what if I told you that there is a way out? A way to break free from the illusion and step into the highest version of yourself. This is not just a theory. This is real, and those who have discovered it have transcended the ordinary, unlocking abilities that most people believe are impossible.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Imagine for a moment that everything you experience, your thoughts, your emotions, your reality is nothing more than an echo of your inner state. The world around you is not separate from you. It is a mirror reflecting back the energy you carry inside. This means that every limitation, every struggle, every obstacle is not something outside of you, it is something being projected from within. And if it is coming from within, then that means you have the power to change it. Not by forcing the external world to bend to your will, but by shifting your own energy, your own vibration, your own perception. The moment you realize this, you unlock something extraordinary, the ability to shape reality itself. But here is where most people get lost. They think that spiritual power is about acquiring something new, about adding more knowledge, more techniques, more rituals. They believe that if they just learn enough, if they just practice enough, they will eventually unlock their full potential. But this is the greatest deception of all. The truth is, you do not need to add anything to yourself. You need to remove everything that is not you. You are already whole. You are already powerful. But layers of conditioning, fear, and false beliefs have buried your true nature. The real work is not in becoming something greater, it is in letting go of everything that is holding you back. So I ask you, what are you still holding on to that is keeping you from your highest self? What stories have you accepted as truth? What fears have you allowed to define you? Because until you release them, you will remain trapped in the illusion. And the most powerful spiritual gift in existence, the ability to create, to manifest, to transcend, will remain locked away inside you. But the moment you decide to let go, the moment you surrender everything that is not your true self, the moment you step beyond the mind's control, you will awaken. And when that happens, the world as you know it will never be the same again. The hidden force that has been controlling your reality without you knowing. There is something operating in your life right now, shaping your reality, influencing your choices, and determining what is possible for you. It is a force so subtle, so deeply embedded in your being, that you rarely question it. And yet, it is the single greatest factor deciding whether you will unlock your highest spiritual gift or remain trapped in a cycle of limitation. This force is not external, it is not the government, society, or even fate. It is something much closer, something so familiar that you have mistaken it for yourself. It is your subconscious programming, the invisible blueprint that runs your life without you even realizing it. Think about this: every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every reaction you experience is not random. It is the result of deep-rooted patterns that were installed in you long before you were even aware of them. From the moment you were born, you were programmed. Your family, your culture, your experiences, all of these shape the way you see the world, the way you see yourself, and most importantly, what you believe is possible. And because the subconscious mind operates beneath the surface of your awareness, you rarely stop to question whether these beliefs are even true. You simply accept them, live by them, and unknowingly allow them to dictate your reality. But here's the shocking truth: your subconscious mind does not care whether a belief is true or false, empowering or limiting. It only cares about one thing: repetition. Whatever you have been exposed to the most, whatever thoughts you have entertained the most, whatever emotions you have felt the most, these are what become your reality. And once a belief is deeply ingrained, it becomes a law in your personal universe. If you have been conditioned to believe that you are small, that you are powerless, that you are separate from the divine, you will experience a life that reflects those beliefs, no matter how much you desire something greater. Now, here is where things get even more intense. Your subconscious mind is not just shaping your thoughts and emotions, it is directly influencing the energy you emit. And because the universe does not respond to your words, your desires, or even your conscious thoughts, it responds to your frequency. This means that the reality you are experiencing right now is a perfect match to the vibration you have been unconsciously holding. Every limitation you see in your life is not because the world is against you. It is because somewhere, deep inside, there is still a belief that aligns with that limitation. This is why most people struggle to break free. They try to change their lives from the outside in. They chase new experiences, new knowledge, new techniques, hoping that something external will finally unlock their spiritual power. But they never go to the root. They never address the hidden programming that is running the entire show. And so they remain stuck, repeating the same cycles, wondering why nothing ever truly changes. But here is the secret that changes everything: your subconscious mind is not your enemy. It is not trying to trap you in limitation. It is simply following the instructions it was given. And the moment you take conscious control of those instructions, you reclaim your power. You become the architect of your own reality. You override the old programming and install a new frequency, one that aligns with your highest potential. And when you do this, the most powerful spiritual gift ever begins to awaken within you. So I ask you, what beliefs have been controlling your life without your awareness? What limitations have you unknowingly accepted as truth? Because until you bring them into the light, they will continue to shape your reality from the shadows. But the moment you decide to rewrite your story, to reprogram your energy, to take back control of the force that has been dictating your existence, you break free. And what happens next is nothing short of miraculous. The ultimate key to reprogramming your mind and unlocking limitless spiritual power. Everything you have ever experienced, every limitation you have ever faced, every struggle you have ever endured has been dictated by one thing: your subconscious programming. This programming is not just a collection of thoughts or ideas, it is the very foundation of your reality. It determines what you believe is possible, what you attract into your life, and ultimately, whether or not you will ever unlock the full power of your spiritual potential. But here's the truth that no one tells you: this programming is not set in stone. It is not permanent. It is not your destiny. It is simply a script that has been running in the background of your mind. And the moment you become aware of it, you gain the power to rewrite it. Most people spend their entire lives trapped inside a reality they did not consciously choose. They think they are making decisions, but in reality, they are simply following patterns, reliving the same experiences over and over again, because their subconscious mind is programmed to do so. And this is why so many people struggle to change, no matter how much they desire to. They try to force new outcomes through willpower alone, not realizing that as long as their subconscious mind remains unchanged, their external reality will always return to its original state. This is why people who win the lottery often lose all their money within a few years, because their subconscious identity is still aligned with lack and limitation. This is why people who try to break negative cycles in relationships often find themselves repeating the same toxic patterns, because their subconscious programming is still wired to seek out the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. But here is where everything shifts. Your subconscious mind is not some immovable force beyond your control. It is a tool. It is a servant. And the moment you learn how to communicate with it, how to reprogram it, how to override the old patterns that have been keeping you stuck, you unlock something extraordinary: the ability to create reality on your own terms. This is where true spiritual power begins. Not in rituals, not in external techniques, but in mastering the deepest levels of your own consciousness. So how do you do it? How do you break free from a lifetime of conditioning and install a new reality from the inside out? The answer is simpler than you think, but it requires absolute commitment. The first and most important step is awareness. You cannot change what you are not aware of. This means you must become hyper-conscious of your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own internal dialogue. But every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, every time you feel a negative emotion, every time you react in a way that does not align with the person you want to become, you must pause. You must recognize that this is not you. This is just the old programming trying to run its course. And in that moment of awareness, you gain the power to interrupt the cycle. But awareness alone is not enough. You must replace what you remove. The subconscious mind does not operate in a vacuum. If you simply try to eliminate negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, or old patterns without installing something new in their place, the mind will default back to what is familiar. This is why so many people struggle with affirmations. They repeat positive statements, but deep inside, they still believe in the old programming. The key is not just in saying new words, but in feeling the new reality as if it already exists. Your subconscious mind does not understand logic. It does not respond to reasoning. It responds to emotion, to repetition, to experience. This means that if you want to reprogram it, you must immerse yourself in the energy of the person you want to become. You must feel as if the new reality is already here. Every day you must step into the vibration of the version of yourself that is already free, already powerful, already awakened. And the more you do this, the more your subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. This is why visualization is one of the most powerful tools for reprogramming the mind. When you visualize, you are not just imagining, you are creating. The mind does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This is why athletes use visualization to enhance performance, why successful people use it to manifest opportunities, and why spiritual masters have used it for centuries to unlock higher states of consciousness. If you want to reprogram your mind, you must see, feel, and embody the new reality as if it already exists. But here is where most people fail. They do the work for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and then they give up. They look at their external reality, see that nothing has changed yet, and they allow doubt to creep back in. But this is the final test. The universe responds to unwavering belief, to unshakable certainty. The moment you begin to question, to hesitate, to entertain the idea that maybe you are still stuck, you are reinforcing the old programming. This is why the greatest spiritual masters do not beg for change, they embody the change before it appears. They do not wait for proof, they become the proof. So now I ask you, are you willing to commit to this? Are you willing to step beyond the illusion of limitation and take full control of your subconscious mind? Because if you are, then everything you desire, spiritual awakening, higher consciousness, the ability to manifest effortlessly, the power to transcend suffering, will no longer be a distant dream. It will become your reality. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. This is the key. This is the secret. The most powerful spiritual gift in existence has never been something outside of you. It has always been within you, waiting for you to claim it. The final transformation: how to activate your true spiritual power and never be the same again. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey where you are faced with a choice that will determine whether you remain bound by the illusions of the past or step fully into the limitless power that has always been within you. This is the moment of awakening, the moment where everything either changes forever or stays exactly the same. And the truth is, most people hesitate when they reach this moment. They feel the pull of their old identity, the weight of their past conditioning, the fear of stepping into something greater than they have ever known. They want transformation, but they are afraid of what it will demand from them. Because real transformation is not comfortable, it is not easy. It requires the death of everything you thought you were. It requires the complete dissolution of your old self, the version of you that was built on fear, on limitation, on unconscious patterns. And for most people, this is terrifying, because even though they dream of freedom, even though they crave spiritual power, they are still attached to the very things that are keeping them trapped. They still identify with their pain, with their struggles, with their limitations. They have built their entire sense of self around the idea of being small, of being separate, of being powerless. And the thought of letting that go, of stepping into something unknown, feels like stepping off a cliff into absolute emptiness. But here is the truth: the emptiness is not your enemy. It is your liberation. What most people do not realize is that the only thing standing between them and their highest potential is their attachment to the old self. The self that believes it is not enough. The self that clings to suffering because it is familiar. The self that looks at the world through the eyes of fear instead of the eyes of creation. And as long as you hold on to that self, you will remain stuck in a cycle of limitation, no matter how much you meditate, no matter how many affirmations you repeat, no matter how much knowledge you accumulate. Because true power does not come from adding more. It comes from releasing everything that is not real. So, I ask you, are you willing to let go? Are you willing to surrender the old self completely? Because if you are, then what happens next is something beyond anything you have ever experienced. When you finally release the identity that has been keeping you small, when you stop identifying with your past, your fears, your limitations, something extraordinary takes place. You do not just change, you transcend. You awaken to the realization that you were never limited to begin with, that everything you were searching for was always already inside you, that the only thing that ever kept you from your full power was the illusion that you were separate from it. And in that moment, everything shifts. You no longer have to try to manifest. You no longer have to struggle to attract abundance, love, or enlightenment, because you are abundance. You are love. You are enlightenment. The illusion of separation dissolves, and you realize that you are not just a person trying to connect with the universe is expressing itself through you. You are not just a being looking for spiritual power, you are spiritual power. And when you step into this knowing, the way you experience reality is never the same again. But here is where most people get stuck. They experience glimpses of this truth, moments of clarity, flashes of awakening, but then they fall back into their old patterns. They return to their old ways of thinking, their old fears, their old doubts, and they convince themselves that maybe it was just a temporary experience, maybe it was just their imagination. But this is the final test. The moment you awaken, the old self will try to pull you back. It will whisper in your ear, telling you that you are not ready, that you are not worthy, that you are not powerful enough. But this is the ultimate illusion. The old self is nothing more than a shadow, a memory, a collection of thoughts and beliefs that have no real substance. And if you allow it to, it will keep you trapped in a cycle of awakening and forgetting, rising and falling, expanding and contracting, never fully stepping into your true power. So how do you break free for good? How do you ensure that this transformation is permanent? The answer is simple, but it requires absolute commitment. You must fully embody the new reality, not just in moments of meditation, not just when things are going well, but in every moment of every day. You must act, think, and feel as if you are already the awakened being you were meant to be. You must refuse to entertain any thought, any emotion, any belief that contradicts the truth of your limitless nature. This is not about pretending. This is not about forcing yourself to believe something that isn't real. This is about recognizing that you have always been this powerful and choosing, moment by moment, to live from that truth. And the more you do this, the more your new reality solidifies. It stops being something you are trying to become and starts being who you are. And once that happens, there is no going back. The illusion of limitation collapses completely, and you step into a level of existence where miracles are normal, where intuition is effortless, where creation happens in real time. So now, I ask you one final question: are you ready? Are you ready to leave behind the old self, the old story, the old limitations forever? Because if you are, then this is the last moment you will ever live as the person you used to be. From this moment forward, you step into something greater. Not because someone else gave you permission, not because you finally learned enough or meditated enough or healed enough, but because you have decided. And that decision is the most powerful force in the universe. This is the final transformation. This is the moment where you activate the most powerful spiritual gift ever, the realization that you were never separate from it to begin with. You are not just a seeker. You are not just a student of spirituality. You are the embodiment of the divine, the creator of your own reality, the infinite consciousness experiencing itself through form. And now you remember. Now you awaken. Now you rise. And from this moment forward, life will never be the same again.